is the WJTS News. In tonight's news, a Shoals man is sentenced to 133 years in prison. Holland receives federal grant funding. Over 200 volunteers showed up to take part in Patoka Lake's cleanup day. We visit Rockport to speak with Mayor Gayanne Hardy for this week's edition of Monday with the Mayor, and Kirk Gazelle will be in with sports. All this and more next on 18 WJTS News. Good evening, I'm Jurnee Davis with WJTS News. A Shoals man is expected to spend the rest of his life in prison following a sentencing Friday for a double murder that took place 3 years ago. Nathan Baker was sentenced to 133 years in prison following a hearing in Martin Circuit Court. Authorities charged Baker with the August 25, 2015 murder of 82-year-old Alan Sims of Dover Hill and 52-year-old Tom Tharp of Shoals. Deputies claim Baker killed Sims with a shotgun in his garage on State Road 450 just north of Dover Hill. They say Baker then turned the weapon on Tharp and shot him dead in the garden behind the garage. Police say they believe Baker killed the men to keep them from talking to police about a burglary he had committed at a river cabin in Martin County. Baker was arrested on August 26 of 2015 near Fayetteville in Lawrence County while driving Tharp's car. Officers also recovered a shotgun that they believed was the murder weapon. A Martin County jury of 6 men and 6 women deliberated for more than 3 hours on June 18th before returning guilty verdicts on 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of burglary, 2 counts of theft, and 1 count of vehicle theft. The judge in the case sentenced Baker to 60 years in prison for the murder of Sims, 60 years for the murder of Tharp, 6 years of burglary for Sims' home, 6 years for the burglary of Tharp's home, and 1 year for stealing Tharp's car. The judge ordered that all these sentences be served consecutively. Martin County Prosecutor Mike Steiner says that even with Indiana's good time law, Baker will have to serve 99.5 years in prison. Steiner says that they are very pleased with this sentence. The Patoka Lake cleanup saw a record-breaking turnout this weekend. A total of 201 volunteers and 37 helpers worked Saturday morning to beautify the shoreline and at the same time ensure clean drinking water for more than 100,000 residents in southern Indiana. During the 12th annual event, businesses, organizations, high school students, and scout groups removed 2,200 pounds of trash, 8 tires, and 600 pounds of recyclables like aluminum. That's a grand total of over 3,000 pounds. And better yet, this year's group accomplished that in under 3 hours. Patoka Lake Cleanup Day is organized by the Patoka Lake Watershed Steering Committee with the assistance of Patoka Lake Regional Water and Sewer District, Indiana DNR Patoka Lake, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. For more information about the Cleanup Day as well as other events and activities of the Watershed Committee, you can see the group's Facebook page or contact Doug Merkel at 812-678-8300. Former District 74 State Representative Lloyd Arnold has been appointed to serve as Chief Operating Officer of the Indiana Department of Corrections Prison Enterprises Network Division. The Prison Enterprises Network is a program that equips offenders for successful reentry through meaningful work and career development while operating in a self-sustaining manner. Indiana Department of Corrections Commissioner Rob Carter says throughout his career, Lloyd has been a committed public servant and says that they are thrilled he'll be leading this important DOC program, and they also welcome him to the team. Arnold most recently served as Director of Law Enforcement for the Indiana DNR. Prior to serving as DNR's Director of Law Enforcement, Arnold was a state representative for 5 years and served Hoosiers in Crawford, DuBois, Orange, Perry, and Spencer counties. While in office, Arnold was a vice chair of the Natural Resource Committee and was a member of the Agriculture, Veterans Affairs, and Public Safety and Elections and Appointments Committees. He served in the U.S. Army and the Indiana National Guard and has over 10 years of experience in the manufacturing industry and as a small business owner. To fill this vacancy created by Arnold, Lieutenant Colonel Steve Hunter will serve as the next director of the DNR Division of Law Enforcement. Both Arnold and Hunter begin their new roles this week. Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch, along with the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs, announced that more than $10 million in federal grant fundings is being awarded to 19 rural communities, and the Holland community is one of them. The Main Street Revitalization Program encourages communities with eligible populations to focus on long-term community development efforts. Eligible applicants had a designated Active Indiana Main Street group in their community, and the project must be part of the Main Street's overall strategy. Main Street Revitalization Program projects include streetscapes, facade renovations, and downtown infrastructure rehabilitation. The town of Holland was awarded $600,000 for drinking water system improvements. This project will replace an old water storage tank and rehabilitate a second storage tank. Crouch says rural communities are the next great economic frontier for the state and says that it is vital they are receiving support to keep Indiana moving forward. She adds that with these funds, local governments are able to compete with various projects like improving their infrastructure, downtown revitalization, and public facility improvements. Application for Round 1 of the Federal Community Development Block Grant Program was due to Okra on July 20th. Feedback for those committees will be provided by the program director in the coming weeks. The second round of 2018 Community Development Block Grant programs will begin on August 27th, with proposals due October 5th. Final applications for that round will be due November 30th. Funding for Okra's 5 Community Development Block Grant programs originate from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's Community Development Block Grant Program. The Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs administers this program for the state of Indiana. The Indiana Senate Republican Caucus is offering paid spring semester internships in its legislative, legal, policies, communications, and information technology offices for the 2019 session of the Indiana General Assembly. District 48 State Senator Mark Mesmer Jasper says qualified candidates must be at least a college sophomore. Recent college graduates, as well as graduate school and law school students, are also encouraged to apply. Mesmer says that positions are open to Indiana residents as well as non-residents who attend a college or university located within the state. Benefits include a $750 biweekly stipend, scholarship and academic credit opportunities, professional development, community involvement, and networking. Senate internships are full-time positions at the State House in downtown Indianapolis that begin with a mandatory orientation in late December. They conclude at the end of the legislative session in April of 2019. Mesmer calls the internship a valuable opportunity for students and recent graduates, especially for those who may not have professional experience just yet. He highly recommends this internship for anybody who is interested in public service and policy. For more information or to simply access an application, you can visit www.indianasenaterepublicans.com/intern. The deadline to apply is October 31st. A violation of a protective order led to the arrest of a Jasper man over the weekend. Around 6:30 Sunday morning, dispatchers with the Jasper Police Department received a 911 call in reference to a pair of suspects arguing loudly in an apartment located along the 400th block of Kirkwood Drive on the city's north side. When officers arrived to make contact with the subjects, they found that 51-year-old John Hemmer, who lived at that address, was violating a protective order issued out of the state of Washington. Hemmer was taken to and booked into the Du Bois County Security Center on a misdemeanor count of violation of a protective order. A preliminary federal report finds that Indiana had a record number of drug overdose deaths last year, as more than 1,800 people succumbed to overdoses. The data from Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows that 1,840 people died of an overdose in 2017 in Indiana. That's an 18% increase over 2016 and a 37% increase over 2015. The CDC report shows that Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, and New Jersey saw some of the nation's biggest spikes in drug overdose deaths last year. While the 2017 totals include deaths from all types of drugs, a vast majority of those overdoses were caused by opioids. Nationwide, about 72,000 people died from drug overdoses last year. That's a 10% increase from 2016. Work is getting safer in Indiana, with employment-related injuries hitting an all-time low. Recently released federal statistics from 2016 show that the state hit an all-time low that year of 3.5 injuries per every 100 full-time workers. This figure counts work-related injuries that were serious enough to require medical attention beyond first aid. That's an 8% drop from the previous year and a nearly 70% drop from decades past. Government statistics show that roughly 11 of every 100 workers got hurt on the job in the early 1990s. While safety is apparently improving, 137 workers died on the job in 2016. Vehicle crashes were the leading cause. Now stay tuned as we travel to Rockport to speak with Mayor Gayanne Harney for this week's edition of Monday with the Mayor on 18 WJTS TV, followed by weather and sports.